You ever notice how some people just seem to have it all together? They're crushing their goals, living their best lives, while the rest of us are just trying to figure out which end is up. That fire, that drive, that unstoppable force. It all comes down to one thing: hunger. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of hunger that has you raiding the fridge at 2 a.m. I'm talking about a hunger that burns in your soul, the kind that keeps you up at night, dreaming big and planning even bigger. That's the hunger that separates the achievers from the dreamers. Life isn't about cruising along on easy street. It's about facing challenges head on and coming out stronger on the other side. And let me tell you, that takes hunger. It takes a burning desire to be more, do more, and achieve more than anyone ever thought possible. Think about the people we admire, the innovators, the game changers, the ones who leave a mark on this world. They all have one thing in common: they're hungry. Hungry for success, hungry for change, hungry to make a difference. When was the last time you felt truly hungry for something? Not just a little interested, not just curious, but absolutely uncontrollably hungry. If you can't remember, we've got some work to do. Hunger is what gets you out of bed at 5 a.m. when everyone else is still sleeping. It's what keeps you working late into the night when others have long since called it quits. Hunger is what pushes you to take that extra step, make that extra call, put in that extra hour when every fiber of your being is screaming for you to stop. Hunger isn't something you're born with. It's something you cultivate. It's a choice you make every single day. And I'm here to tell you, it's a choice worth making. Did you know that about 87% of people walking this earth, that's over 7 billion folks, are unhappy? Now that's a staggering number. But you want to know what's even more shocking? The people at the top, the ones we look up to, they all have one thing in common: sky-high self-esteem. I didn't realize it when I was younger. But not everyone grows up with a strong sense of self-worth. Not everyone believes in themselves the way they should. But here's the kicker. Those who do, those who cultivate that unshakable belief in themselves, they're the ones who end up changing the world. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Building that kind of self-esteem, cultivating that hunger, it's hard work. But let me tell you something. Nothing worth having comes easy. You want to know the secret to success? It's simple. Be hungry. Be hungry for knowledge. Be hungry for experience. Be hungry for growth. Because when you're truly hungry, nothing can stand in your way. When you're physically hungry, what do? You find food. You don't sit around wondering if you should eat. You don't worry about what others might think of your eating habits. You just eat. That's the kind of single-minded focus I'm talking about. Now, imagine applying that same drive, that same urgency, to your goals. Imagine wanting success so badly that you can taste it. Imagine being so focused on your dreams that nothing else matters. That's what it means to be hungry. Being hungry isn't a one-time thing. It's not something you can just turn on when you feel like it. Being hungry, truly hungry, is a full-time job. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment you make to yourself every single day. I've been living this way for the better part of 5 decades. Day in, day out, I'm pushing the envelope. I'm challenging myself. I'm staying hungry. And let me tell you, it's not always easy. There are days when I want to throw in the towel. Days when it all seems too much. But you know what keeps me going? That hunger. That burning desire to be better today than I was yesterday. You ever hear the saying, no pain, no gain? Well, it's not just true for building muscles. It's true for life. Growth only comes through pain. It's through facing challenges, through pushing past your comfort zone that you really start to grow. When was the last time you grew from being comfortable? When was the last time you achieved something great by staying in your safe little bubble? I will tell you, never. Growth happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're scared, when you're not sure if you can make it, But here's the beautiful thing about being hungry. It pushes you through that discomfort. It keeps you moving forward when everything else is telling you to stop. Because when you're truly hungry, failure isn't an option. It's just a stepping stone on the path to success. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But I'm not naturally motivated. I'm not one of those go-getter types. Well, let me let you in on a little secret. Neither was I. Motivation isn't something you're born with. It's something you build day by day, choice by choice. It's about making a decision every single morning when you wake up. Are you going to let life happen to you, or are you going to make life happen? Are you going to wait for opportunities, or are you going to create them? Are you going to be a passenger in your own life, or are you going to take the wheel? Life doesn't care about your excuses. The world doesn't owe you anything. If you want something, you got to go out there and get it. And that takes hunger. That takes drive. That takes an unwavering commitment to your goals. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man who wanted to make it big in the business world. He had big dreams, big ideas, but he didn't have a fancy degree. He didn't have wealthy parents. He didn't have any connections. All he had was hunger. So, you know what he did? He slept on his office couch for years. While others were out partying, he was working. While others were sleeping in on weekends, he was strategizing. He poured every ounce of energy, every spare minute into his dream. Was it easy? Hell no. Was it comfortable? Far from it. But was it worth it? Absolutely. Because that hunger, that drive, that relentless pursuit of his goals, it paid off. Today, that man is one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the world. Now, I'm not saying you need to sleep in your office to be successful, but I am saying this. If you're not willing to sacrifice for your dreams, then maybe you don't want them badly enough. If you're not willing to put in the work, to make the tough choices, to do what others won't, then maybe you're not as hungry as you think you are. Because here's the cold, hard truth. Success doesn't come to those who wait. It doesn't come to those who wish. It comes to those who work. It comes to those who hustle. It comes to those who are hungry enough to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals. Now, I know money isn't everything. But let's not kid ourselves. It's important. Money gives you options. It gives you freedom. It gives you the ability to take care of your loved ones, to make a difference in the world. Money, it's not going to fall into your lap. You're not going to wake up one day and suddenly be rich. If you want wealth, you've got to be hungry for it. You've got to be willing to work for it, to sacrifice for it, to do what others won't do, to have what others don't have. I've mentored a lot of people over the years. And you know what I've noticed? The ones who succeed, the ones who really make it big, they're the ones who are hungry. They're the ones who are willing to put in the extra hours, to take the risks, to step out of their comfort zone. They're the ones who say, I want to make $1 million, and then they go out and do it. They're the ones who say, I want to build $1 billion company, and then they make it happen. Because here's the thing. You will never exceed your highest expectation. You will never achieve more than what you believe is possible. So I ask you, what's your highest expectation? What's the biggest, craziest dream you have for yourself? Whatever it is, I want you to double it, triple it, because that hunger, that drive, it can take you further than you ever imagined possible. You know why most people procrastinate? It's not because they're lazy. It's because they're unsure. They're afraid of failure. They're afraid of what others might think. Being liked doesn't get you a raise. Being comfortable doesn't lead to growth. If you want to achieve greatness, you've got to be willing to do what others won't. You've got to be willing to take risks, to make mistakes, to fall flat on your face and then get right back up again. Because that's what hungry people do. They don't let fear hold them back. They don't let uncertainty stop them. They say, I'm not sure if this will work, but I'm going to give it everything I've got. And more often than not, that's exactly what leads to success. Let me tell you something about self-esteem. It's not something you're born with. It's something you build. And you know how you build it? By achieving things, by setting goals and reaching them, by pushing yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Every time you accomplish something, no matter how small, you're building your self-esteem. Every time you face a fear, every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're becoming stronger. You're becoming more confident. You're becoming unstoppable. You've got to be willing to put yourself out there. You've got to be willing to take those risks. You've got to be hungry enough to chase after your dreams, even when it seems impossible. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but I didn't have the best start in life. I didn't grow up with a lot of advantages. Some of the most successful people in history came from nothing. They started with zero advantages. But you know what they had? Hunger. They had a burning desire to change their circumstances. They had an unshakable belief that they could create a better life for themselves. And that hunger, that drive, it propelled them to heights they never thought possible. So I ask you, what's your excuse? What's holding you back? Because whatever it is, I can guarantee you this. It's not as strong as your hunger can be. It's not as powerful as your drive to succeed. You ever hear the saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with? Well, it's true. If you want to be successful, if you want to cultivate that hunger, you've got to surround yourself with hungry people. Find the people who are where you want to be. Find the ones who are achieving the things you want to achieve. And then do whatever it takes to be around them. Learn from them. Absorb their energy. Let their hunger fuel your own. Hunger is contagious. When you're around people who are driven, who are constantly pushing themselves to be better, it rubs off on you. You start to see what's possible. You start to believe in yourself in a way you never have before. Now, I'm not saying you should ditch all your old friends, but I am saying this. If the people around you aren't pushing you to be better, if they're not fueling your hunger, then maybe it's time to expand your circle. Success leaves clues. The people who have achieved great things, they've left a blueprint for us to follow. But you've got to be hungry enough to seek out that blueprint. You've got to be driven enough to study it, to learn from it, to apply it to your own life. Your parents probably told you that you could be anything you want to be. And while that's a nice sentiment, it's not entirely true. You can't be anything. But you know what you can be? You can be anything you're passionate about. Anything you're hungry enough to pursue with everything you've got. Because passion fuels hunger. When you're passionate about something, when you truly believe in what you're doing, that's when the magic happens. That's when you're willing to put in the long hours, to make the sacrifices, to do whatever it takes to succeed. So I ask you, what are you passionate about? What gets you excited? What makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning? Whatever it is, that's what you should be pursuing. That's what you should be hungry for. You know what all world-class athletes have in common? They see themselves succeeding long before it happens. They visualize standing on that podium, receiving that gold medal years before they actually do it. And you know what? It works. Because when you can see it in your mind, when you can feel it in your heart, that's when it becomes real. That's when your hunger kicks into overdrive, propelling you towards your goals with unstoppable force. So I want you to do something for me. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself achieving your biggest goal. See it in vivid detail. Feel the emotions. Taste the success. Now open your eyes. That feeling, that's hunger. That's what's going to drive you to make that vision a reality. Visualization alone isn't enough. You've got to back it up with action. You've got to be hungry enough to put in the work day in and day out to turn that vision into reality. Let me tell you a little secret. Before I had any money, I used to go to Rolls-Royce dealerships. I'd sit in the cars, smell the leather, touch the steering wheel. People probably thought I was crazy. But you know what I was doing? I was practicing being successful. I was training my mind to believe that one day I'd own one of those cars. And you know what? Within a year, I did. That's the power of combining visualization with hunger, with action. So I want you to do the same thing. Go to those places that represent success to you. Touch those things. Feel them. Smell them. Let them fuel your hunger. Let them drive you to take action. You know, a lot of people are terrified of speaking in front of others. But let me tell you something. If you want to be successful, if you want to make an impact, you've got to be able to communicate your ideas effectively. So what do you do if you're not a natural public speaker? You join Toastmasters. You take classes. You practice in front of the mirror. You do whatever it takes to improve your skills. Because that's what hungry people do. They don't let fear hold them back. They face it head on, and they conquer it. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you need a fancy degree to be successful. Hell, I flunked out of university 3 times before I finally graduated. But you know what I did have? An insatiable hunger for knowledge. I read every book I could get my hands on. I attended seminars. I sought out mentors. I was constantly learning, constantly growing. And that hunger for knowledge, it's been one of the biggest factors in my success. What are you doing to feed your mind? What are you doing to expand your knowledge? Because in today's world, information is power. And the hungrier you are for that information, the more powerful you become. You know, a lot of people are afraid of failure. They let that fear hold them back from taking risks, from pursuing their dreams. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably more times than you can count. But you know what sets them apart? They were hungry enough to keep going. They saw each failure as a lesson, as a stepping stone towards their ultimate goal. So I ask you, how hungry are you? Are you hungry enough to fail? Are you hungry enough to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and try again? Because that's what it takes. That's what separates the achievers from the dreamers. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. But it's what you do with those hours that makes all the difference. Successful people, hungry people, they guard their time fiercely. They understand that time is the most precious resource we have. So how are you spending your time? Are you using every minute to move closer to your goals? Or are you wasting hours scrolling through social media, watching mindless TV shows, doing things that don't serve your bigger purpose? When you're truly hungry for success, you don't have time for distractions. You don't have time for time wasters. Every minute, every second becomes an opportunity to move closer to your goals. Now, I'm not saying you should work 24/7. Rest is important. Recharging is crucial. But even your downtime should be intentional. It should be purposeful. It should be feeding your hunger, not diminishing it. A lot of people live their entire lives inside their comfort zone. And you know what? They lead perfectly fine lives. But they never achieve greatness. They never reach their full potential. Because greatness doesn't happen in your comfort zone. It happens when you're willing to step out, to take risks, to do the things that scare you. It happens when you're hungry enough to face your fears head on. When was the last time you did something that scared you? When was the last time you pushed yourself beyond what you thought was possible? If it's been a while, then maybe you're not as hungry as you think you are. People set goals. But here's the thing. Setting goals isn't enough. You've got to be hungry enough to pursue those goals with everything you've got. I set goals every single day. I write them down. I visualize them. I say them out loud. And you know what? It works. Because when you're constantly reminding yourself of what you're working towards, when you're constantly fueling that hunger, amazing things start to happen. So what are your goals? What are you working towards? And more importantly, how hungry are you to achieve those goals? Are you willing to do whatever it takes? Are you willing to make the sacrifices necessary to turn those goals into reality? The universe has a funny way of testing your commitment. It will throw obstacles in your path. It will present you with challenges. And in those moments, it's your hunger that will keep you going. It's your hunger that will push you through the tough times. Success isn't about making one big decision. It's about making 1,000 small decisions every single day. It's about developing habits that move you closer to your goals. Hungry people understand this. They know that it's not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. It's about discipline. It's about doing what needs to be done, day in and day out, whether you feel like it or not. So what are your habits? Are they serving your bigger purpose? Are they feeding your hunger, or are they diminishing it? Because here's the thing. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. It can be your greatest asset or your biggest liability. And it all comes down to how you use it. Hungry people have a growth mindset. They believe that they can learn, that they can improve, that they can overcome any obstacle. They don't say, I can't do this. They say, I can't do this yet. What's your mindset? Are you constantly looking for ways to grow, to improve, to become better? Or are you stuck in a fixed mindset, believing that your abilities are set in stone? Your mindset shapes your reality. If you believe you can achieve something, if you're hungry enough to pursue it with everything you've got, then you will find a way to make it happen. True success isn't just about what you achieve for yourself. It's about the impact you have on others. It's about leaving the world a little better than you found it. Hungry people understand this. They're not just hungry for personal success. They're hungry to make a difference. They're hungry to leave a legacy. What impact do you want to have on the world? What legacy do you want to leave behind? Because when you're truly hungry, it's not just about personal gain. It's about creating something bigger than yourself. Think about the great innovators and change makers throughout history. They weren't just hungry for wealth or fame. They were hungry to solve problems, to push humanity forward, to make life better for generations to come. That kind of hunger, it's powerful. It's the kind of hunger that moves mountains, that changes the course of history. And let me tell you, when you align your personal goals with a greater purpose, that's when the magic really happens. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. Plans fall through. Setbacks happen. Sometimes it feels like the whole world is conspiring against you. But here's where hunger makes all the difference. When you're truly hungry for success, for growth, for making an impact, you don't let these setbacks stop you. You use them as fuel. You let them stoke the fire in your belly. I've seen people crumble in the face of adversity. I've also seen people use those same challenges as stepping stones to greatness. The difference? Hunger. The ones who succeed are the ones who are hungry enough to see opportunity in every obstacle. So when life knocks you down, and believe me, it will, how will you respond? Will you stay down? Or will your hunger drive you to get back up, stronger than ever? Let's shift gears and talk about innovation. In today's rapidly changing world, standing still is the same as moving backward. If you're not innovating, you're falling behind. But innovation isn't just about coming up with new ideas. It's about having the hunger to pursue those ideas, to bring them to life, even when everyone around you says it can't be done. Think about the Wright brothers. Everyone told them human flight was impossible, but they were hungry enough to prove the world wrong. Their hunger for innovation changed the course of history. What impossible dream are you hungry enough to pursue? What innovation are you bringing to the world? Because the hungrier you are to create change, the more likely you are to make it happen. A lot of people see competition as a threat. But when you're truly hungry, you see it differently. You see it as a challenge, as an opportunity to push yourself to new heights. The hungriest athletes don't fear their opponents. They welcome the challenge. They know that strong competition will only make them stronger. The same is true in business, in art, in any field you can name. So how do you view your competition? Are you afraid of being outperformed? Or are you hungry enough to rise to the challenge? Because when you're truly hungry, competition doesn't diminish you, it elevates you. One of the biggest mistakes I see people make is thinking that learning stops when you leave school. Nothing could be further from the truth. The hungriest people I know are lifelong learners. They're constantly seeking new knowledge, new skills, new perspectives. They understand that in a world that's always changing, the only way to stay ahead is to keep learning. So what are you doing to feed your mind? Are you reading books that challenge your thinking? Are you seeking out new experiences that broaden your horizons? Are you hungry enough to never stop growing? Never stop improving? You've heard the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, I'd argue it's both. But there's no denying the power of a strong network. The hungriest people I know are always expanding their circles. They're not just collecting business cards, they're building genuine relationships. They're hungry for new connections, new perspectives, new opportunities to learn and grow. So how's your network looking? Are you surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, who inspire you, who fuel your hunger? Because the right network can amplify your hunger and propel you toward your goals faster than you ever thought possible. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle, to keep pushing forward without ever stopping to take stock. But the hungriest people I know understand the value of stepping back and reflecting. They regularly ask themselves tough questions. Are they still on the right path? Are their actions aligned with their goals? Are they making the impact they want to make? This kind of self-reflection isn't always comfortable, but it's necessary for growth. So when was the last time you really sat down and reflected on your journey? Are you hungry enough to face the hard truths, to make the necessary adjustments, to keep pushing yourself to be better? In today's world of instant everything, the ability to delay gratification is becoming a rare and valuable skill. But let me tell you, it's a skill that separates the truly hungry from the rest. The hungriest people I know aren't looking for quick fixes or overnight success. They're willing to put in the work now for a bigger payoff down the road. They understand that the sweetest victories are the ones you have to work hardest for. So how's your patience looking? Are you hungry enough to keep pushing, keep working, keep believing, even when the results aren't immediate? Because that kind of hunger, that kind of patience, that's what leads to lasting success. In a world full of copycats and imitators, there's immense power in being uniquely you. The hungriest people I know aren't trying to be anyone else. They're focused on being the best version of themselves. They understand that their unique experiences, perspectives, and talents are their greatest assets. They're hungry to express their authentic selves, to make their unique mark on the world. Are you hungry enough to be unapologetically you? To share your unique gifts with the world? Because when you align your hunger with your authentic self, that's when you become truly unstoppable. I know I've been talking a lot about hunger, about pushing yourself, about never settling, and all of that is crucial. But here's the thing. Sustainable success requires balance. The hungriest people I know understand this. They push hard, yes, but they also know when to rest. They're ambitious, but not at the cost of their health or relationships. They're hungry for success, but they define success holistically. Not just in terms of wealth or achievement, but in terms of overall life satisfaction. So how's your balance looking? Are you hungry enough to push hard toward your goals, but also wise enough to take care of yourself along the way. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to reach the top. It's to thrive once you get there. Being hungry isn't always easy. It means pushing yourself when others are resting. It means believing in yourself when others doubt you. It means getting back up every time you fall. It's worth it. The sense of accomplishment when you achieve something you've hungered for, the knowledge that you've made a real difference in the world, the pride in knowing you've become the best version of yourself. There's nothing quite like it. Be hungry. Be hungry for growth, for success, for making an impact. Be hungry enough to face your fears, to overcome your limitations, to push past your comfort zone. Be hungry enough to chase your dreams, to uplift others, to leave a lasting legacy. Because when you're truly hungry, when you approach life with that insatiable appetite for growth and achievement, there's no limit to what you can accomplish. So go out there and show the world just how hungry you are. Your future self will thank you for it.